Hey guys, hope you're well. Pull up a chair. Today I wanted to talk about how I remember growing up in the 90s, growing up in the early 2000s, and I just remember how different things were back then. And I guess I'm getting a little bit of nostalgia, but I actually think it's based in reality. I think that nowadays we've lost something, and I think it's something important. And I think really, if I had to say so, I think it's something vital. And I'm going to go ahead and put it out there that I think things were better back then. And if you're over 25 or 30, you probably remember a time that was before social media actually made us less social. So social media started taking off, and it didn't come on immediately. It was kind of like a slow build, and we're kind of reaching the peak of it now. But that's what social media really did. It made us less social. And when I was growing up, I remember we used to decide things like whose house we were going to hang out at. And we'd decide if we were going to play basketball that day, or if we were going to play football, or even if we were going to go inside and play video games that day. And we did it together, like in our little group. And even at school, I remember we did things like we played dodgeball. I remember getting nailed in the face with those red, hard kickballs. And I actually looked it up, they're not allowed to play that anymore. But, it kind of made us tougher and stuff. And it was just more fun. There was a little bit more action going on. And I remember we'd go out in the woods and play. And I really don't think kids do things like that anymore. And I think that's what was interesting about that show, Stranger Things. And I think that was really why that show was such a hit. It wasn't really because of all the monsters and stuff. It was because we were seeing people like they used to be, a little tribe that would stick up for each other. And we were seeing like this flashback, I guess this portal, no pun intended, back into the 80s. And that's so gone now. It just doesn't exist anymore. And right now, I just think very few people, no matter the age, have 3 or 4 tight friends who would stand up for each other and who would be there for us if we needed them. I think it's just kind of going away. Now we have like 1,000 friends, right? We have 1,000 friends on social media, but those friends barely know us. And I think what we're really hoping for, like a big day, is if they might, they just might say hi to us or take some time and actually leave a heart on a comment or something like that. So I really think that things have changed so much in that period of time. And now everybody's just looking down. They're looking down at their little screens. And I really think they're longing for those times gone by. And many of the kids today probably don't even know that that existed. So it's really tough in this time period that we're living in. And I look down at my phone too, but I can see that that's not a better option than the times that I remember from the past. The times when we could talk about something with a friend or with a coworker or somebody and they wouldn't look at their phone 3 or 4 times during the conversation. We're so addicted to this stuff. And I think about the times when we could go to Blockbuster. Those of you that remember Blockbuster. And we would actually pick out a movie that we wanted to see, and we would rent that movie for the night or for 2 days. I can't remember what it was now, a couple days or whatever. And it sounds weird, but gaining so many choices with all this streaming stuff has made watching movies lose its magic. And it just seems to me like all of these things have kind of gone to pot, and they've all went downhill. And that leaves us longing for that time that was better, really. And I know I sound kind of like a old man yelling at clouds or whatever right now, But from what I've seen, I think even the young people today can see that things looked better back then because they can see that there was more real connection back then, and there was less of this fake online connection, more real connection. I remember going to the gym in the early 2000s, and we had like a little group of people. It was almost like you needed each other because you were asking each other questions and things like that. There was no YouTube, and we were starting out, so we needed to know information, and you talk to this guy or that guy, and there was camaraderie. And now it's like people don't want any real connection anymore. And I go to the gym now, and everybody's on their phone. They got headphones, and even though I'm an introvert, I like to have some connection. So like an hour would be good to have some kind of deep connection, talk about something you're interested in. But I've found that people just want no part of it. So I've ended up starting to work out at home like 90% of the time. And I think that a lot of other things were better back then. You know, income matched expenses better. And I think the average house cost maybe twice your salary instead of like 5 times your yearly salary. So that's a big difference. And it leads to a little bit of hopelessness and sadness in society, I think. So I'm not really yelling at clouds here. There are statistics that back this stuff up. It's not really what this video is about, but I think depression, I believe I read depression was twice as high now as it was back in the 90s. And when you look back, I think you can see why. I mean, things were really simple back then. There was human connection. There was more fun. And it's not that everything, was fun, but stuff was available for you in your free time if you wanted to do those things. I think you'd have a really hard time just finding something now. And when I think back, one of the things I was thinking of, I think back to my friend's mom making us all Smurf soup. And that's this blue Kool-Aid, like stains your mouth forever. But when we came back in from playing, like hitting baseballs or playing basketball, I remember a whole summer she would make that and how good it was. And it just makes me think back to a simpler time. And I don't think that all this internet stuff is ever going to be able to replace those feelings. And like I said earlier, as an introvert, I love being alone. I enjoy it. But I think all humans are meant to have a few hours of some kind of connection, social thing, activity or whatever. And we're meant to have close relationships. We're meant to play. We're meant to have some kind of fun from time to time. And I think play has really gone away. And no more do we play board games or do this or that with each other. We're like playing multiplayer video games, which I do from time to time, but it doesn't replace being around people, even for short periods of time. So I think that our progress that we talk about, we've progressed our way, we've technologied our way right out of happiness and connection in a very real sense. And I think that all of this has actually changed people's brains, like the way people's brains are wired. And I think people have learned, because of this programming we get every day with the internet, to look online for connection. And they're not looking for connection anywhere else. And in fact, that's why I got a theory that's why people are rude in stores or rude at the gym, or they don't want anything to do with people because they're looking online. I've got this guy that I follow or whatever. I'm looking at this. I don't have time for you or whatever. And I think that that's really tough because it's not the way humans were meant really to interact. And I would compare online connection to if you suddenly decided, say, to stop using the water faucet to get your water and you started trying like to sit little cups outside to catch rainwater. I mean, sure, you can get some water with little cups outside to catch rainwater, but it's inferior to the real connection. It's inferior to just turning on the tap like we used to 20 or 30 years ago. And so sitting cups outside would work in some way, but it would be far, far inferior to just turning on the faucet. And I think internet connection is really that much harder to form a real connection than being in person. And I think about it sometimes and I think, well, where do we go from here? How can we fix this? And I'd like to say that maybe we could start meetups in our community and just bring it all back, like we could go back into time. But I think unless somebody invents a time machine or something, I just don't think that we can bring it back that way. And it seems to me that once we cross that line, there's just not that many people now that are eager to bring that time back. And, yeah, I agree that in so many ways, modern technology is great. It's fascinating. You can get so much information. But I cannot help but think back to that simpler, and I think it was really more innocent too, that simpler, more innocent time. But I thank you all for watching. I thank you for pulling up a chair with me today. And if you'd like to join a tribe that thinks like you do, that thinks in this way and talks about these things, then consider subscribing to the Circle and turn on the notification bell so you know when I upload. And if you'd like to know why I think people are acting just a little bit strange right now, watch this video next.